for rehabilitating, reusing, and developing parcels in already developed areas are multiple. Towns and cities across the country are learning that this can lead to greater walkability, less infrastructure costs, and a lower environmental impact when we create more dense neighborhoods. Infill, which is the idea of reusing or rehabilitating buildings to fill a market need or developing underused parcels, helps create a more dense environment in an already developed area. This can lead to a greater sense of community.
Uses run the gamut, most often focusing on housing, but also involving retail, entertainment, office, and mixed uses, as shown here with Mashpee Commons. Sites available include skipped-over parcels of land, land formerly in industrial use, closed military bases, the lots left after the demolition of abandoned housing, and underused parcels with buildings that can be rehabilitated or replaced. In pre-car America, people lived in dense neighborhoods that provided for most of their everyday needs. Things like grocery stores, tailors, and the like were located within a close walking distance to the home. The density of cities and towns began to change with the development of new technology, like the streetcar. People began to live in primarily residential neighborhoods instead of places with a mix of uses. The automobile allowed people to live further from commercial centers by decreasing travel time. This meant developers could build new, primarily residential communities away from historic hubs of activity in areas known as greenfields, which led to the creation of suburbs. Post-World War II, the American population began to expand rapidly. Suburbs kept pace with this expansion by spreading further and further out from already established cities and towns into greenfield areas where development had not previously occurred. Instead of putting new houses and businesses in cities and towns where there might be empty parcels or underused buildings or buildings needing rehabilitation, developers looked outside of these areas. Infill is a very important part of smart growth, which rose out of dissatisfaction with status quo community development and the negatives it has wrought, including traffic congestion, loss of open space, harsh environmental impacts, lack of affordable housing, and costly infrastructure. The Urban Land Institute has identified 6 forms, qualities, and processes of community development to be the key principles of smart growth: compact multi-use development, open space conservation, expanded mobility, efficient management and expansion of infrastructure, infill, redevelopment, and adaptive reuse in built-up areas, which all contribute to the 6th concept of enhancing livability. With these concepts in mind, smart growth aims to build communities that are more hospitable, productive, and fiscally as well as environmentally responsible than the communities which sprang up over the past 100 years.
The Local Government Commission, in cooperation with the United States Environmental Protection Agency, has put together several tips related to smart growth, specifically in regards to density. They recommend putting density where it is most appropriate, such as near a neighborhood hub like a grocery store, or close to the town's commercial center. By placing more people near the town center, the area becomes more lively, safer because there are more eyes on the street, and more economically viable because more people have ready access to the area businesses and shops.
Infill plays a valuable role in this process by allowing for an increase in density in areas that may already seem built out. Looking closely at how buildings are being used and where there are possible gaps or small undeveloped parcels can lead to higher residential and commercial density.
This neighborhood behind these other houses to allow for people to be closer to the downtown area and benefit from this increased density. You might not normally think of putting these houses into this neighborhood, but it really allowed for an increase in density in an appropriate place. This abandoned auto repair shop is another great example of possible infill. As you've just seen, there are surrounding businesses, and yet this lot remains empty. Surely something could be put here. Putting people near places of work and play is important. But without ease of travel, people may still not frequent the nearby businesses.
For infill success to be maximized, the surrounding area's transportation corridors need to be critically examined to understand where improvements can be made so the new infill is accessible and also has access to the wider community.
Another tip for making infill work is making sure that it fits into its surroundings and enhances the community in some way, such as by meeting a market need, like allowing work-live situations to decrease commuting time and allow for people to be closer to their places of work and increase the mixed-use nature of the neighborhood.
In Middletown, Connecticut, the city met a market need for affordable housing by taking down buildings in the city center which could not be rehabilitated and replacing them with modern apartments that nonetheless blended in with their surroundings, since they were of the same material and general style. The city realized the need for housing near the commercial district, as this would provide residents with access to jobs and also give businesses a nearby consumer base. Furthermore, by installing housing where there had been none, the city was able to contribute to repopulating the downtown, which improved the sense of safety and 24-hour use of the entire district.